I'm Andy Ayim.
And I'm Hattie Willis.
And today, what are we going to explore, Hattie?
We're going to explore how environments and community shape us and how we can shape them to help us more.
I like it. I love this topic.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we start like we did in our last episode with going to some street interviews?
What impact would you say your community or your environment even has on your ability to like grow?
I find if I'm working at home and it's messy and chaotic, it really stops me from being able to focus and to think about anything creative. It just sort of weighing on me. So if I go and work somewhere else, a cafe or like the library or just somewhere where there's a clear space, an empty desk, really helps me to be able to concentrate.
Yeah,
and
kind of unblocks that.
Yeah, because it feels like that's hanging over me and keeping me stuck if I'm in it, whereas then if I get out of it, that clears that space a bit more in my head.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So immediately, as we get started today, I want to separate the word environments from the word community. And there is a link, and we're going to get there. Just trust the process. But I want to start with environments because I'm one of those people where I feel like a messy room represents a messy mind. So
and I feel personally attacked by that, Andy. I feel personally attacked.
I'm like, I haven't got OCD, but I want to arrange my desk in a certain way in order for me to be productive. I want natural light.
Oh, yeah.
Like for energy. Like I want my physical environment to represent the way in which I work, you know. So even when I've been at work, one of the things that I found challenging was like hot desking. Because when you're hot desking, you can't make that desk your own because tomorrow you'll move into another desk.
Yeah.
When I think it's important to make that environment really productive and conducive for how you want to operate. Whether that's having little figurines on your desk or your post-it notes, knowing you on your desk, right? Calculated depending on what job you do. Like just making it a space that works for you.
And I think we often have challenges in different places, right? Because for some people, to your point, it's going to be about the environment's kind of happening to me. How much can I actually change and control? For other people, it feels like we're the blocker. So when you say messy room, messy mind, it's true, by the way. Like when my flat is messy, my brain is so, you can tell there is a direct correlation. And it goes both ways, right? My space will tell you how my brain is, and my brain will dictate my space.
Interesting.
So, and I never know where the loop starts.
Sometimes it's like, I haven't got time to do X,
Yeah.
which means that I'm stressed. It's almost like a signal that, I haven't got time to do that.
Or I don't think I have time, right?
I don't think I have time.
And for me, it is definitely linked to ADHD challenge because time blindness is a thing. So I really struggle with it's now or it's not now. So when I'm trying to like leave to go somewhere, whenever I'm trying to meet you, this happened to me last night. We were going for dinner and I was in my room for ages and I looked at the time and I was like, oh, great, I don't need to go now. And next time I looked at the time, I was like, oh, it's now. And luckily, I looked at the time, 1 minute spare, went fine.
I'm always leaving you waiting, but yeah.
But no, not true. But the challenge I then have is because I struggle to anticipate how long something will take, I struggle to have time. The thing that gets cut first is like tidying up the space I've just done. And I'm often running around. It's
almost like a prioritization, what's important and less important.
And I forget to factor in how much of a difference it makes to me mentally. And then it builds and it gets unmanageable. And so what often happens for me is when life feels busy, when I feel overwhelmed, it's the first thing to drop, but then it starts adding in my head. So every time I walk in the door, my flat's a mess, my bedroom is a floor drobe, my makeup's all over the table, and I'm losing things, I'm stressed out by it. I used to have a book when I was little called Amanda Pig, and it was about this pig who basically turned her room into a pigsty. And she couldn't find anything, and it wasn't until she broke her favourite toy by treading on it under some clothes that she realised she had to change. Wow. I think my parents were trying to tell me something.
That was a direct sign from parents.
It didn't work. It didn't work.
You remember
but actually, I am genuinely putting quite a lot of effort into it at the moment because I can tell the difference it makes. And it's funny because yesterday you maybe needed to use my room to do a meeting because your Wi-Fi was down in yours. And so I tidied my room before I went out. And I looked at it and went, that took me 4 minutes. And I felt so much nicer coming back into the room. So I think physical spaces definitely shape how we feel mentally. They also under-index for a lot of us on priorities and practically can become more challenging the more tangled your life feels. And so I think it's such a good place to start because just the smallest things can make such a big difference.
And I know one of those small things for you is notebooks without any lines.
Oh yeah, good one.
Just so that you can play, so you can draw, so you're not restricted by lines in notebooks. And it sounds like such a small thing, but it's common, because we've got another friend who literally showed us the same thing. Like, he's drawing on his pages, he's using it in creative ways, and lines on paper would restrict him. And when I talk to people about journaling, some people love a physical book to write in because of that feeling. Some people still love reading a physical book, I do, rather than listening to a book because of that, or using a Kindle because of that feeling. So all of that affects your environment as well, those little things.
And it links, actually, for me, it's a good example back to our last episode about limiting beliefs, because I transitioned, and I am now completely snobby about it, but I transitioned to plain notebooks maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And what led to that transition was I used to think I couldn't draw. And in thinking I couldn't draw, I was basically taking away a processing method that works really well for me. I'm a visual thinker and a verbal thinker. And so when I can't verbally process because it's not acceptable to talk, or other people are talking in a meeting and I'm trying to stay focused, I now draw. So that's why I need the plain paper, because I'm taking up the page, I'm turning it sideways, and playing with it. But I had to unpack that belief that I couldn't do this thing to work out, oh my gosh, my brain loves this. This is so kind to my brain. It's helping me so much. I now see it on the page. And I think there is a really helpful unpacking to do about what are the things you need in your space, the small things like notebooks, the big things. And there is a bit of a trope, which is, and I often feel personally attacked by this meme, which is, guys, I just got a new notebook, so my life is about to change. I am that person. I'm like, if I get a new notebook, everything will be fixed. But I do think so much of it is about this. So talk me through your environment.
Yeah.
What have you learned, what works, and what might people want to take away as like a curiosity point for maybe what might help them?
So I think firstly, when I think about my environment's now mobile because we're in this hybrid work that we live. So the best indicator of my environment is actually my backpack.
I was just thinking about that. Oh no.
My backpack, because my backpack has compartments, which just shows you that I want to keep things neat. So I've got my water bottle always. So whether I'm going to work at a cafe or in a co-working space or in an office or on a bench, I've got my water with me. The other thing I carry is a physical book, because I always want to read where possible when in transit, except when I'm walking, where I'm trying to do nothing and not think, which is really difficult, or I'm listening to a podcast or listening back to these episodes. And then I've also got pencils with me and post-it notes, because I never know when I want to take quick notes.
Yeah, nice.
And the only notebook I have is one of these, what size do you call this? Is it
A5?
Am I going in the right direction? A5, yeah.
A5.
Got one of those small, tiny notebooks. If I need to take down anything quickly.
Almost like a police notebook.
Yes. I'll just note in that notebook.
Investigations.
And that notebook has got lines, I have to admit.
I'm judging you, but it's okay.
But I'll give you an example. Like a book I recently completed was called Essentialism by Greg McNowan. And one of the concepts in there he harps on about again and again and again is less but better.
Yeah.
So I don't try to carry too much, but I'm trying to carry the things that will help me work better. And it's a similar way to how I feel about journaling, actually. Like, I actually love the physical feeling of reading a book and writing. Yeah. But I know my digital notepad journal is better for me, which is why I'm willing to sacrifice what I enjoy more for what is better for me by doing the tracker. Yeah. Right. So, and then the other things that is very important for me to carry is, as a facilitator, I need to have the right equipment so that at any screen at any time I can plug in my laptop regardless of what connections you have. True. Right. So that's the other thing that is very important for me that I carry around. And then if I'm being honest, it's probably a funny one, but antihistamines, because I've got hay fever. And I've got hay fever, and I've got my EpiPen because I'm allergic to dairy. So I can set up my environment anywhere as long as I've got those critical things.
I feel personally attacked because I can see my laptop just behind the camera, and it is literally, I knocked it over earlier and just stuff spill out. It is so...
On your bag?
Yeah, and I am like a maximalist, right? In everything. So in my bag, I have some things that are really useful, like this.
Do you have things in your bag where we're going to ask you, like, why are you carrying that? Like, I always have tissues in my pocket, and my family's been like, why am I carrying these tissues? Because when you go home, I put it straight into the washing machine and I've got tissue everywhere.
Oh no, so I have got tissues in there, but I've had a cold, so that's fair.
Fair.
I've got painkillers. I've got a stain pen, life-changing if you're clumsy like me. I cannot go on Amazon, Tide stain pen. I've just saved your life for the podcast episode.
So wait, what? How does the stain pen?
Andy,
Let's
you
geek out a little
basically,
bit.
it's like a little pen, and you like press it down on the stain, and it releases some anti-stain. You just scrub it. It's honestly life-changing.
That's not bad. That's quite smart.
Oh no, life-changing. You're wearing a white t-shirt. I couldn't wear a white t-shirt for a day without a stain pen.
Okay, you're gonna send me that recommendation. Affiliate
I'll buy
link.
you
I'm
one.
happy
I'll buy you one.
I appreciate that. Christmas
That's your
comes
Christmas
early.
present.
Thank you.
What else? I've definitely got post-it notes. I've also just got like detritus.
Like what? Sorry.
Detritus, like
I
crap.
definitely don't know.
Just crap at the bottom of my bag. I've got like coins from trips that like I don't know where else to put. Every time I change backpack, I leave this like debris in a backpack that I'm like, what even is that? Like,
So what
old
influences the
receipts.
decision as to what backpack you take when you're going to work?
What's the flight packing limit on my backpack often? Which has got a broken zip. I don't know. I've got like all these backpacks I've kept that all have a slight full.
Fair.
Maximalist, can't hone down to one. But I think this is a I didn't see this episode was going to go into my backpack, but I think this is a good point about, again, how much influences our life and reflects our life without us even thinking about it for a second.
Yeah.
And actually, when I do clear out my backpack and go into a day with like things well sorted, I feel so much better. But again, to the point earlier, I struggle to prioritize it because I think it influences me so subtly that in a way that, some of the things that are more obvious, I'll like give time to, I'll spend the time in the morning doing my hair and makeup because I'm going to see those and everyone else's.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When you're checking out at a hotel,
Yeah.
do you pack your stuff the night before mainly, or do you pack in the morning
Night
before
before.
checking out? See, so it feels like you prioritize that. That's important.
Yeah, because I want to spend my time in the morning doing my hair and makeup.
Oh, fair.
And I don't want to leave anything in the
fair,
hotel.
Fair.
And I know myself well enough to know I will leave something behind really important if I don't start packing the night before.
That's really
And
organized.
I prioritize my sleep, so I actually also don't want the time in the morning. I want to sleep. So
You
yeah,
know, you can have that time either side over at night.
I
or
struggle to go
morning.
sleep earlier. So, but in the morning I
Fair.
never want to wake up. So
Can I go a little bit deeper into environment,
Let's.
which will help us also transition into talking about community? Yeah. So I grew up in Tottenham, North London, in the UK, and as an environment, I feel like I was constantly fed by the media, by society, by my surroundings, very negative stories around aspiration and what you could become. Like a lot of criminals, drug dealers, whatnot. No one really doing well in school. No one talking about top universities. No one working in professional work services jobs. So it was quite limited in terms of aspirations, but environment influenced what we were getting into at a young age, or what we were tolerating at a young age, I would say. And there's three experiences that completely shifted like how I thought about things, and I think they're linked to environment. The first was, my dad was a minicab driver. Sadly passed away when I was growing up, but he was a minicab driver, and he used to tell me stories about the clients in his car, like this Asian family who are doctors and nurses and pharmacists, and this Nigerian lawyer in Chelsea and Kensington who's like a lawyer, and her brother's like works in oil, and all of those stories were starting to like raise my aspiration when I was learning about these different environments outside of where I lived. And it made me think like where I'm born and where I start in life doesn't dictate where I end in life. It started to give me that belief, or that sense of belief. And then I did work experience with one of them, which absolutely blew my aspirations out the window.
what were you doing?
It was an architect, and his wife was a transcriber for the BBC. And I remember I see Frank Bruno, a former like boxing champion, in the car, in the petrol station right next to his house. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I've moved from like Tottenham to Barcelona right now. I'm in a different world.
Yeah.
But one of the two things that were really stood out in that experience was the first, humility and wealth. Like looking back, that man was very wealthy. He's earned over $1 million in his life, but the humility in how he lived and how he dressed and the car that he drove reframed or set the foundation for humility and wealth in my mind. I didn't know what it meant to be rich at that time, and he set the example of being humble, even though he's afforded a lot in life, and that was really beautiful for me. The second thing was, it was probably the first time outside of my family or outside of like a Ghanaian family where I had like Caucasian and white people treating me like their son. Like they would make me sandwiches at lunch. They would like drive me around their car. They would take me wherever they're going, and they just treated me like I was their son. So again, it bridged a gap in my mind that I thought maybe the relationship that people in Tottenham have with the police, or I thought. So it really reframed my mind around relationships with people from different backgrounds, which is really powerful. The second was when I went backpacking in South America. And I remember my friends were like, it's not the black thing to do. You're going to die. What are you doing? But it completely opened up my mind, being in that different environment, learning about different cultures, building relationships with people from different countries, from Sweden to Denmark to Germany to Israel. Like, it just opened up my mind to know that as humanity, we have more in common than what separates us. And we all have little unique differences, and that's beautiful. And I remember when I came back to London, having friends from those trips sleep over. My friends are like, how can you trust them? You only knew them for a couple of months. But the depth and quality of those relationships was so rich, as you know, when you go through such an intensive experience. And the third one was a mentor. And this is where we start to bridge into community. So I met this mentor when I was on placement, taking a year out of university. And I went with my good friend Dennis. And we met a ton of people during this experience. But there's one person that I really connected with because he was an older Ghanaian gentleman, and I originate from Ghana. He was into football. He supported Arsenal. I supported Man U. But I loved our relationship because he made me feel like it was a friendship rather than just like that power dynamic that might exist with someone that's really senior and successful and someone new.
It's almost charity.
He just, exactly. It didn't feel like charity or philanthropy or anything. And he was the person that I could ask all of my stupid questions to.
I love
what is an
that.
auditor do? What is, like, how do you manage your money? Do you get paid every month? Do you anything that I felt embarrassed to ask anyone else, or I didn't have anyone else I could ask, I'd ask him and he would answer it willingly and not make me feel stupid.
Which is now something I can totally see how you do for other people. That's clearly really bedded in as I actually earlier watched you recording voice notes for people. Just really generously, like they'd ask you questions, how can I give them some time, give them some feedback. It was beautiful.
Definitely a big influence on me. Mr. Francis Maynew. And the other thing that he did was he introduced me to a few people that worked at Ernst & Young once he learned that I was interested in becoming a management consultant. And those introductions that he made changed my life because they taught me how to interview well and pass an assessment centre well.
Which is a skill.
Which is a real skill because it's like an assault course getting into a management consultancy. Yeah. But I got the job because of his introductions, because he was willing to take the time with me. And that has changed the trajectory of my career, that first professional job. But I would never have got in there if not for his tutelage and having him as almost like an elder in my tribe and in my community that I was starting to build, who could really like pave the way for me. And it links very well to this concept that I talk to you all about all the time, as well as in our workshops, called this board that you can't afford. Yeah. He was the first member on my board that I can't afford, that person that I can go to help me make informed decisions. And I would never say this word or title to him and call him a board member, but that's the role that he played in my life. I'd go to him and a few other people like Marcus, who we know today, and others, ask them the same question, but their responses would give me enough data for me to make an informed decision.
And I want to come back to like how you find those people, how you reach out to them. One thing I want to pick up on, or just play back to you, a thread from traveling, from going and being in different environments on your internship, from getting this mentor, is broadening and diversity. So to the point of how do you learn what environment serves you best? You kind of have to try different ones.
Absolutely.
And we can get so stuck in, this is my office, this is my space I'm working in. We can get so stuck in this is what my friend thinks, and friends think, right? And it becomes, you were talking about this earlier, we get such blind spots, such echo chambers of everyone thinks the same way.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, and so I want to just call out that already that's coming up as a kind of really clear thread. Yeah. Right? And I think coming back to your...
Even relationship building. Yeah. Increasing the surface area of connection so I know that I can connect with people from such vastly different backgrounds.
And actually, I think that the more you do it, the more confidence you have. And we've we've been talking about it a lot this week. We're running a project with the Commonwealth, and so we have founders from Botswana, Nigeria, Ghana, of course, India, Pakistan,
Such
Bangladesh.
rich breadth.
We're going to miss a few in the list,
Pakistan,
not intentionally, because I'm going to forget.
Kenya,
South
Africa,
Botswana. Anyway, we can't do them all. We can't do them all. But what has been interesting is like, where are the points of connection, and how easy it is, and we actually observed this with kind of the first time we ran this program. There is a really natural affinity bias that comes with, we come from the same place, we have similar backgrounds, we look similar, and it's really much easier to connect with people who have a shared field of reference.
Yeah.
But actually what we've really invested this time with building the cohort to try and make them much more deliberate about mixing.
Yeah.
And what we've noticed is the friendships are developing on very different planes this time.
Yeah.
And much more integrated throughout the entire cohort. We're not seeing any kind of regional like clusters, and there's so much ability to connect. And I think we talk about this. We've got an amazing coach that we both work with, Ellie Turner, who talks about how do you build social capital and trust. And I think we get into the habit of, when we meet people, we're almost always trying to find the point of connection that's a similarity, rather than what can I learn from you, what can you inspire me with that's different.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there was this study done by McAdams in 2001 called Personal Narrative Theory, which talks about how when we connect to people and get to know people, we all process life events through stories. So the more we're telling stories, the more we're connecting at an emotional level, which is like, oh my gosh, I have such empathy for what you just shared, or that was so saddening, oh my gosh, that was so funny, oh my gosh, let me tell you this story about. And that's what happened in this cohort. They found so many different stories that they could connect on, from music to entertainment to having fun to karaoke to outside of even just the business. And in those magic moments during the workshops, you can feel when there's something we need to lean into because there's a connection here. Hiring talent. Oh yeah. Ooh, let's spend some time there. Yeah. Because there's clearly connection here on this topic, right?
And so I kind of coming back to this point of this board you can't afford. And was it? Am I right in thinking it was the same mentor who taught you about your network is your net worth?
No, he spoke to me about your skill set is your safety net.
Sorry, yeah. Also, your network is your net worth is another one. Andy is I have in my head. So sorry, your skill set is your safety net.
Your skill set is your safety net. We'll get on to that. We'll get on to that.
But I've definitely heard you say your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
So maybe let's unpack that a little bit more as a way into how do you work out who you need to, like, where are the gaps around you? What are you not appreciating that you should be in what your community is? You should be, but that would actually feel great.
I feel like I've got a good place to start with this.
Tell us.
I mentioned in the last episode, the episode that we did on limiting beliefs, that when I was in school, I had this relationship with academia where I felt like I wasn't smart because I wasn't getting the top grades. And then I broke out of that by learning about, there's these different intelligences in life. And what I learned during that period of time is that life can be a school if we're paying attention to the lessons that are being taught. And a good example of this is I read a book. I went on holiday a few years ago with the family. I think it was somewhere like Tenerife or Rhodes. It's probably the same year, so it was one of the two. And connected with this Jewish man because his daughter was playing with my daughter just around the poolside. And he had a book that he was reading. So I started, out of my curiosity, asking him about the book, asking him about what he does. He said, you know what, I'm finishing this book, so you can have it. What a generous gift, by the way. A book is such a beautiful gift.
It's special because I love doing the books.
And this book was about a gentleman called Jack Petchey, who people may know from the Jack Petchey Foundation, but he was basically famous for building like a property portfolio and business. And then he came up with the concept of timeshare, which is where like you can buy a share of a hotel room, for example. So he did that in the Algarve in like the 1970s and 60s, I think. Before that, he had like car dealerships. A real entrepreneurial journey, but a really interesting journey to read because it's such a different period of time in history to what we're living in today, but definitely some common lessons from that. But in the last like 3 pages of the book, he says how he had like hundreds of members of staff. His portfolio was worth hundreds of millions, but the admin burden of that just drained his energy. So he
Yeah.
ended up selling all of his portfolio, getting rid of things like finding tenants and maintaining houses, and the admin and stress of fixing a boiler and all the maintenance that comes with like finding tenants and maintaining a house. And he started investing in property investors. I read all 200 of pages of that book to get to that moment to realize, actually, that's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to stop buying houses to invest in. I'm going to invest into property investors. And I've been doing it for about 4 years now. But it came from that digital mentorship that I got from that book that was given to me when I was just on holiday in the Algarve. But if I'm not paying attention to lessons, I'll never understand the dots connecting that lead to this moment. And that decision has like generated me a lot of wealth and savings that's led to me buying a house I'm about to renovate. So there's clear common links. We're going to get into financial freedom and money in another episode, but there's clear like links to like paying attention to lessons and understanding that we're in a school of life, but it's just whether we're paying attention or not.
And it makes me think, I love that life gives you lessons, and I think whether you're paying attention or not, there are some lessons that will just pass you by if you're not paying attention. Like that.
Absolutely.
That was 3 pages at the end of a book.
Yeah.
Easy to miss. Never come back again. But there are also the lessons that life will just keep hitting you with until you learn the lesson.
Yeah.
Right? Big one for me that I have friends and community around trying to support at the moment. If you don't change your lifestyle, you will keep burning out. Right? And you will burn out in small ways and relearn the lesson, burn out in small ways, relearn the lesson, until you learn the lesson in a bigger way. So, yeah, I just love that. So, community and environment. I want to pick up on that thread you talked about at the beginning about how different it was being in Tottenham and being told this is what you can achieve, this is who's going to connect with you in these ways, this is your relationship with these kind of people. And to now, how deliberately do you place your environment in terms of like widening out, like the places that you go, how you show up there, and then the communities you actively build there?
I think firstly, growing up in environments like Tottenham also gave me transferable skills that I undervalued at the time.
Yeah.
Like public speaking or confidence, or when I'm the captain of a football team, learning how to encourage people, instill confidence in others. And it's all these skills that I undervalued at the time that I look back at today and I'm like, I've just amplified that skill that I developed at that time.
So, you know what, I love that.
I think we all have that to a degree in our lives. Like, can you think back to, you even shared one in the last episode when you were talking about humour.
Yeah.
And using humour as a tool, even when you're delivering workshops.
And also I think about, the way environments shape us. And maybe we can, I don't know if this is an interesting thread to take, but so I'm not Christian anymore, but my dad is a vicar.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I kind of grew up going to church a lot, and what that environment did for me very clearly was I saw my dad constantly public speaking. I saw the way he tried to show up for the community, and I would like often public speak. So for me, sitting through a really long sermon and service was a bit boring, but if I was doing a reading in it, a bit more fun, right? So I used to try and get readings, go and participate. I wanted to be involved. I didn't want to be sat there passively. I wanted to do something. One time we got to ride a donkey into the church.
Wow.
Actually,
really unique
that happened every year, actually, on Lent.
Yeah.
You had to stay small enough that you could sit on the donkey. I sadly grew too heavy for the donkey. But that environment, shaped a lot of my, I think, confidence. And the same, my mum was then a teacher, so I saw her, mortifying at the time, but she was a reception teacher at school. I saw her like hopping around the playground dressed as an Easter bunny once.
Wow.
Mortifying. But actually, what have I taken away from that? Like, she wasn't afraid to play. The kids loved it. Like, her class were my teacher is the Easter bunny, obsessed.
It's going above and beyond,
joy.
Isn't it?
Exactly. And service. So you start to be, if you're in these environments, so much of what we pick up is this sense of what we can do, who we can be. And I think the environments are obviously like our family, our parents, the physical spaces as well. And, the connection with community is so important. And I think there is a challenge in there's a lovely thing I've been seeing recently about the idea of like the village, like who is your village? And the kind of critique I saw recently is like a lot of people feel like they don't have a village. But are you showing up as a villager?
Interesting.
So I think there is this, and it's come up for me personally a lot recently, because went through a big breakup, pretty miserable. And oh my gosh, my village, like humbling to another level.
But even made me think, like, what does it mean for me to show up as a villager?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are the traits, what are the characteristics that I should be showing up as a villager?
And I think the idea, back to the point of diversity, is that you want different villagers in your village.
Yeah.
Right? So
Great.
I had one of our coaches who delivers for us. Like, I pay her to deliver, and then she also hires me onto projects when she's running them. So not necessarily someone I would have thought of if I was being really linear as a villager.
In a circle, yeah.
She's sending me messages telling me that me on the bones of my arse is enough. In a break, long messages, beautiful messages I've saved in my tracker is like, oh, I need to come back to this when I'm feeling like I'm not giving enough. My oldest friends obviously showing up in the way that I've grown to expect, because they're just amazing. You know, coming to stay for the weekend, lots of phone calls, lots of check-ins. One of my friends sent me a baby toy to play with so I could like distract myself with fidgeting. You know, chocolate. I mean, my fridge, honestly, if you want a lifetime supply of chocolate, break up after 5.5 years with someone and your fridge will be full. But all these beautiful ways.
All these acts of love.
Yeah. But I found it really hard because I was expressing to my friends that I actually felt quite overwhelmed by it. In like it was the loveliest kind
of... too much?
No, loveliest kind of overwhelm.
Okay.
But I almost felt like I couldn't in any way conceive how I'd earned it. I was like, this level of love, this level of village, like,
there's a word that came to mind straight away,
Tell
by
me.
the way, from church life, I guess, grace. And the concept of grace is undeserved love. Like, you're not getting this love because you've done anything to earn it. It's like, it's an undeserved love. And it's such a beautiful form of love because it's not on merit. You know, it's like your mum dressing up to entertain the kids. It's not that the kids have all got A's or all performed their best or there isn't a naughty kid. They're all getting equal love from your mum, regardless of their behaviour or their performance. It's beautiful.
And I think what's interesting to me is I'm much more comfortable with that kind of love. Like the idea that it's unearned. I like unconditional love. I grew up completely like cosseted in it. Like, my parents could not have made the message clearer my entire life.
So
you don't have to earn our love. We couldn't be proud of you. We love you. Love. Like, unreal. Same with my brother. Same with my family. Like, just unconditional love, left, right, and centre. I'm really comfortable with receiving unconditional love, actually. But what was interesting is my friends weren't playing back to me that it was unconditional, like in a nice way. They were saying, no, this is because of you. Like, we're doing this because of you, because of who you are. And I found that really hard to sit with. And I kept saying to friends, I'm finding this, I just don't know what to do with it. And I'm always trying to rationalize it, and I'm struggling. And actually a friend pointed out to me, I think the friend sent me this village meme, this Instagram reel about this village. And she said, but you're a villager. So, you know, when your friends need you, where are you? Obviously, there's nowhere else I want to be. My friends need me.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm like, unquestionably.
Yeah.
And there are lots of friends I'm sure I like have let down in lots of ways, and definitely.
I mean, you take trips for friends, Ireland and whatnot, so I know that you.
But also there are lots of
friends.
times I struggle with object impermanence. So sometimes I like, if a friend is out of sight, I forget. And they'll come back to me and I'll text them, but it will have been in time. And if they move too far down my WhatsApp list, they're gone.
Yeah. But there's some friends that will give you that grace still and be like, we pick up where we left off.
And it always.
Like, I understand you're busy. You know that I'm lifing, but
my long-term
we pick up
friends
where we left off.
are that. But I'm curious for you, like this idea of like community and village and how you grow it around you. How do you see that? Because it is something I'm thinking about a lot at the moment.
I think first principle for me is almost around like I treat people how they want to be treated. And I think growing up I was being taught like treat people how you want to be treated, and that wasn't always good advice because I wasn't always treating myself great, or I'd have a different view of like how I'm treating myself, whereas actually I needed to get to know you to know how to treat you.
Yeah.
You know?
Even just different needs, right? Like, and this is the acts of love thing I often find, the love languages I find really helpful for this. You might need to be told, Andy, words of affirmation, you're great, you're amazing. You might need physical touch. You might need a hug, that closeness to someone. You might need acts of service. You might need gifts. You might need quality time.
You have to meet people where they are to get to know them, to know that.
But we don't, you're right, we default to what would I want to receive. And it's so, this is a hard practice actually, what you're talking about. So how do you do that? Like, how do you get to know someone's needs? And how do you pay in, not because it's transactional, but like pay into that community in an unconditional way so that you receive the unconditionality back?
I think firstly, I don't expect us to receive anything back. And I think that
that
right.
Humility so that isn't
almost
the right
that humility almost makes you feel like I'm not doing this to get anything back.
You are right. It doesn't work if you're doing it because it's transactional. You're right.
As a motive. And I think the second thing is, and I think I've said this to you before, isn't it? Like, don't be silly. I know if I was in that position, you would do that for me. So knowing the values of someone helps, because you generally know that if you were in that position, that person will be there to lean on, just like they can lean on you in that moment.
It's like last night, like you very kindly bought me dinner and I was trying to, slip a wad of cash at you and you were fighting it and we were talking about it as a table and you kind of said, well, there is a point where when you know someone would do it for you, it feels different.
Yeah.
Not because you expect them to do it for you.
Yeah, and everyone around the table
not because you're going, well, you get, okay, I'll do this and then you'll do this.
Exactly.
But
it's
you're
not
right, there's something
one-upmanship.
and it's not a if this then that.
Yeah.
But it is a feeling of mutuality.
It's almost like yin and yang. Yeah. It's almost like like I know these good things will go around. Like I'm pouring in good and others are pouring in good and good will go around. And I just accept that will be true because it has been true in the past. It will be true going forward. I think the other thing, because I know that we're going to close out soon, is around value-aligned people. I think sometimes we can get into an echo chamber if we're just looking for pattern matching and people that are just like us.
Yeah. And
I find some of my richest relationships in terms of friendships and colleagues and like co-work have come from actually seeing that these points of difference which we're curious about that draws us together, and only then do we realize actually where there is commonality and value alignment, but it's actually the difference that
and value add, right?
And the curiosity is you can tell when someone seeks to be understood versus understanding, versus the reverse of that, where someone's seeking to really understand who you are rather than just talk all about themselves. We've got a very good mutual friend, Tim, who I felt like till today our friendship's surrounding that. Like I could ask him questions for an hour, even though I've known him for years, because I'm really curious or interested in the things that he's telling me.
Yeah.
And I know you have that similar relationship with him as well.
And he actually has, like, the challenge I find with Tim is he's so understanding that actually he's always asking questions.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh,
questions too.
Yeah, great questions. So then you're thinking, you're answering, you're like, oh, hang on, I don't know. What's your favourite colour? I don't know anything about you. Not true, I do know. But you know what I mean.
But you're right.
I think there is a danger that you and I do feel like we found our communities.
Yeah.
And still growing, still finding gaps, still plugging.
But what about if you don't?
What if you're listening to this and feeling like my community doesn't get me? I don't even have a community. I'm lonely. I'm feeling like these areas of my life, I'm literally alone in it. And we actually had a founder say this about the program we're in. One of the things they said they valued so much was just that they were always in their own head thinking, I'm messing this up, I'm a failure, I'm not as good as everyone else. If I'm having these challenges, I'm not even a real founder. And then these 2 weeks, they've realised everyone else has the same challenges. And he said it's completely shifted things for him. So what if someone's in that boat?
I think if I was looking for a support network, the lens that I would look through is, what do I need support on? So in that example that I gave earlier around Francis, I was attending these networking events to meet people in industry, and I was putting signals out to meet and to try and find someone that I can really connect with. So it was only a matter of time until I met a Francis. Yeah. It was more a matter of time because I was in that arena, I was in that environment constantly. When I think through like the entrepreneurs that we've just coached, they now have a founder network and founder community to know that I'm not going through this journey alone. I'm not just crazy alone. There's others that can relate to what I'm going through because they're in the boat with me.
Yeah.
They're going through it too at this time as well. So they can relate to these experiences. So if I was starting a business, I would be looking for those founder communities where I can meet others who are going through it too. Doesn't mean they're like-minded. They're probably very different, but they can relate on this strand because we're both entrepreneurs in this environment. The same if I want to break into a certain career, like I want to get into law. I'm going to listen to the podcast, I'm going to read the books, and I'm going to get into physical environments online or in real life, preferably in real life, to be around more people from those spaces.
Yeah.
And what I'm looking for is connection.
Yeah.
Curiosity and connection. And once I have that, then I need to nurture a relationship. And that is a skill in itself. How do I nurture a relationship? How am I intentional around wishing someone happy birthday or Merry Christmas? How am I intentional around checking in on someone? How am I intentional on sending an article because of something they mentioned in a message so I know that they're going to enjoy this or feel that this is interesting? How am I intentional around making an introduction for them rather than always having asks?
I think this for me is a massive connection hack, is to be the super connector. So if you're deliberately going out of your way to put yourself in spaces online, in person, through broadening your work horizons, through broadening your personal horizons, going to classes, whatever it is, you're actively going and doing that. The people you meet, it can be as simple as asking them, like, who would you be curious to connect with? Who would you want? I've really enjoyed our conversation. Like, I feel this has been a connection that's really given me something. Are there any kinds of people I could be introducing you to that you'd like to meet more of? And then secondly, when people introduce you, because inevitably people ask you the same question and make introductions. And again, it can't be the reason you do it, but typically that will, social norms wise, happen. Then often what I see happen, and by the way, I fall into this trap, so this is not me saying like, just do this, it's easy, it's hard, but is when someone's made an introduction, go back to the person who made the introduction, because often we go back to the person we've been introduced to and say, oh, it's so nice to meet, this is great coffee, I love chatting about this, thanks for your playlist, send me that recommendation.
Yeah.
But we don't go back to the person introduced and go, Andy, I had such an interesting conversation with Marcus. He's actually now offered to do all these things. I'm so appreciative, because without that, I'd be in a completely different place.
I love closing the feedback loop when someone's introduced me.
But we forget it, right? Because
we do.
And again,
Life goes on.
if you're already on to the next thing, which a lot of us have that kind of action bias of I'm moving forward, I'm carrying it on, and often also like if you connect really well with someone, you're like, I feel like I've known you forever.
Yeah.
I've forgotten how we even met, because it's just now we've known each other for a lifetime. So I think definitely those small things.
Yeah.
I think the other great tip I heard is how you connect with someone in the first place. Not asking something that you don't want to talk about. So like, don't ask someone like, what do you do?
That's the worst question. Imagine
Everyone's
you're unemployed
bored.
and someone's asking you like, what do you do when you're on maternity? You're going to feel less than.
All these things.
What's some magical questions we can give people for when they're starting to get to know someone for the first time?
What was the last thing that made you smile?
I love that. That's great.
I had a good one recently that's also good for people like me who really struggle with names. It's like, what's a story about your name?
That's another good one.
That was
I
a
like
great
that
one.
a
Credit
lot.
to Wendy, who's been doing
I like
leadership
that a
training
lot.
here.
And
Yeah.
is there a podcast or book that you listen to that you recommend?
I love that. I often do. This used to be actually my dating app question. Was what's the last book that made you feel something?
Yeah.
It's quite deep for like a.
But you know, when you two get deeper into the conversation,
Yeah.
you can ask more interesting
Yeah.
questions actually, like, you know, because you're trying to peel back the layers of the onion,
100%.
and you're making it a memorable conversation because it's not like the typical conversations they're having in those
Yeah.
spaces, which is really great.
Yeah, and also you're interested in automatically.
Yeah.
And if you put it about something that you would love to speak more about and understand more about, again to your point, not just be understood on, but you want to understand. I love that framing so much. I'm going to come back to that.
Like, imagine someone
So good.
asking you once they're 5 minutes or 10 minutes into a conversation with you, like, how would you introduce yourself without saying your job title and the company that you work for?
Oh, I love that.
You have to think to answer that question. That's
Yeah.
not an automatic response.
And it also, for me, there's a little bit of that, for listeners who haven't seen Bridget Jones, there's a great bit in it about you introduce with thoughtful introductions. So, you know, and they can be really silly little things. So I might introduce you as like, this is Andy, he's the father of 2 amazing kids, This is Andy, he's recently been telling me he's really into anime. You know, I can make it whichever way I want,
Little things,
right?
yeah.
but that give you a kind of point of connection immediately, give someone something to ask about, to connect on, and then you can ask back.
It also builds this bridge in terms of your memory.
100%.
So like one of the founders gave me a list of like anime to watch. What happens now is when I watch one of the things on his list, I then go back and be like, oh my gosh, that series was... So it gives me a point of reference to now go back on because of that link that we have.
I've been trying to get Andy to give me an anime reference because I need to get into it, but he's too scared that he's going to recommend the wrong one.
Yeah, I don't want to put you off.
But I think this is it, and I think we talked about this in the limiting beliefs episode, but as we close off, I think it's a nice thing to come back to. Your community shapes everything in my mind. They're there to pick you up when it gets really bad. They're there to stretch your mindset about what you can achieve. They're there to make the connections that mean you achieve it. And they're there to keep being a sounding board and a challenger and a support and cheerleaders. You know, I often think of my friends as like, they are such cheerleaders.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so actively building that, as well as actively building an environment that you're playing with, finding the right setup for you, I think is the biggest unlocker.
Do you know, this conversation has made me realize that environments and communities can be life-changing.
I think I need to clear out my backpack, Andy. I think it's going to change my life. But no, I do, without downplaying it, I genuinely think you're right. Sorry, that was a bit flippant, but I genuinely think you're right.
Yeah, these stories that we've exchanged and shared, it's like, wow, environments and communities have such an impact and influence on the trajectory of our lives.
It's so true.
Journaling prompt.
Yes. So, do you have one in mind, or do you want me to go?
I do, but I'd love for you to go.
I think
mine will be very obvious, actually. So
I think I have one on environment.
Great.
What could you play with to learn what environment you love? And I'll give you some examples to help you here. So playing with where you work, obviously a big one if you can. So I recently discovered I love working in coffee shops. But even then there's a playfulness to me. What about coffee shops do I love? Is it the playlist? Yes. Is it the natural light? Yes. Is it sitting next to a plug socket? Also yes, because it lowers my stress. Is it about how big the table is? Does a wobbly table stress me? I'm just playing. So a recent task for me was to go and find 10 coffee shops to try in different spaces so that I build up this really lovely library of environments that I love to be in. So what's your equivalent of playing with your environment?
Great. I think that's a good enough prompt, to be honest.
Okay. But what about community? Do one on community. So I love it. I'm like, Andy, go.
Yeah, no, because my natural instinct was like, oh, we should do a prompt around building your board that you can't afford, but it feels too heavy. So I want to build something a little bit lighter than that. And I want to be thoughtful around, like, can you actually name 3 to 5 people who you see as your go-to villagers? And what is it about them that makes them a villager to you? If you haven't had that conversation with them before, I think it's worth you telling them.
That's beautiful.
Why you see them as a villager, why they're so meaningful to you.
And I think for anyone who struggles with that, who finds I don't have 3 to 5 people I can think of, maybe sitting down and thinking about who would you want in your village, like what traits, what would you value, and where might you start to find some places to connect so you can build that village. Because I think it gets so overwhelming, and I think the loneliness epidemic is huge, and people are feeling like it's too late to start. And I really don't believe it. If I look at my village now, the amount of people in my village that I've met in the last year is actually so high.
It's amazing.
And I actually said a while ago I didn't want any more friends. But I've had to make exceptions to people like Andy because
I appreciate that. That's over a year ago, but yeah,
it's big. It's big. But I think honestly it's really important to not. I don't want anyone to leave this feeling like I don't have it yet.
Yeah, it's
not for me.
And I want. If you are in that position, I just want to encourage you to let you know that you've got agency and you can totally influence and turn this around. And if you're really struggling with like, where can I get started, drop us an email and reply to our newsletter, and we'll be more than happy to help you out.
Yeah, 100%.
Become part of your village.
Oh, I love that.
You've got a capacity for villagers.
I will make capacity if someone's feeling like they don't have a village.
There we go. Thank you.